Max again, you know me, last time you hear of me, I hope. And I've got Bill Jacobs with me. He's running for mayor for Garden City, my mayor. He's going to be succeeding Mayor John Evans, a very good friend and a great mayor. I guess one question before I let you go. How do you think it's going to be filling John Evans' shoes? I know you've been asked that before.
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing is that John has left the city in such a good place. We're financially healthy. We've got a great police department. The city has grown significantly since he's been the mayor. It's gone from a town that didn't have a very good reputation to one that has a great reputation. So people used to not want to live in Garden City, and now they do. And that's all because of John, right? So the fact that he's left such a good foundation, I think, one, really gives the next mayor an advantage because they're not having to fix anything, so to speak. It's really about taking the city forward as we grow and making sure that we can continue to maintain our quality of life and enhance it as we grow and kind of build upon what he has left the next mayor.
So you want to do what you've got to do to keep us going in the right direction and staying in the right place.
Well, the role of the mayor is to run the day-to-day operations of the city, fundamentally. If you were to ask John what his number one job is, it's to run the day-to-day operations of the city. And we're a service organization. We need to continue to do that to maintain everybody's quality of life. And so, my role would be to maintain our quality of life and enhance it as we grow. And really everything falls into that bucket. How we police, how we budget, how we do our infrastructure, how we set our code to build, all falls into that because each one of those independently could affect our quality of life, and we want to make sure we maintain them.
You know, we're talking code to build here. I am a number one hater of high-density housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hearing something about apportioning of a golf course or something like that to turn it into luxury or high-density housing.
So that's the Riverside River Club, it's called. And so the developer, he is adding a significant amount of improvements to the golf course to maintain the golf course. It's 120 acres of golf course in the city. It's the second oldest golf course in the state. And to do that, he needed to develop the 10th hole. And so we went through the whole process of the city. And in Idaho, people have very strong property rights, and he has the right to develop that property. And originally, the plans were about 4 stories, 250 units, around there. And the city council wasn't really excited about something that was that tall behind existing homes and things like that. So we worked with the developer, and what we ended up with is about 135 or 134 townhomes. They're attached townhomes. They're going to be for sale, so they're individual homes. And so we lowered the height to 35 feet to mitigate that risk. The height, for people, for neighboring neighborhoods. And so it ended up being a very nice compromise and a very nice development. Now the city of Garden City doesn't have any open space to develop. We don't, surrounding cities have farmlands and things like that can be built up in single-family homes. Garden City is landlocked. To grow, it needs density. So the real trick is what's the balance between height and density, and what makes sense.
How's the infrastructure going to handle that?
Well, part of the city can handle the infrastructure. The other parts of the city, mainly the south side of Chinden Boulevard, cannot. We cannot support development on the south side of Chinden Boulevard. We have a 4-inch pipe that's 60 years old, and it just can't support the services. So we're going to create an urban renewal district in that part of town that will then help fund upgrades to infrastructure. And once those upgrades are in, and we can upgrade that 4-inch line to an 8-inch line, we'll be able to develop that property. But it'll be a little while because it's just very expensive.
One thing that impresses me about Garden City is that the mayor is paid diddly. Mm-hmm. I mean, you make more money working for Walmart at night, which means it's a service, not a vocation, so to speak.
Right.
An avocation.
So, by statute in Garden City, it's not a full-time mayor position. It's 20 hours. It's a part-time mayoral position. We're a town of 13,000 people, so it's probably appropriate. Sometimes you joke that it's full-time work for part-time pay. But you don't do this because you want to get paid a lot of money. You do it because you love the city, you love the residents. There's huge opportunities that you see to develop the city in the right direction to maintain that quality of life that I talked about. And I think, in my case, I've really enjoyed being on city council. I really enjoy this town. I like the people, I like the businesses, I like the departments. It's just something that I want to do, continue serving. Because if it were strictly about money, I've got plenty of business experience. I could do something else. But I like Garden City.
Strictly about money, I think I'd be seeing you stocking the shelves at night at Albert's.
Yeah, no, it's fun though. But I mean, what other position can you be in where you really get to be involved in your town and affect it and meet everybody that lives there?
What are the powers of mayor?
So the mayor in Garden City, like I mentioned, number one role is to run the day-to-day operations of the city. So the city staff reports into them. You manage the budget. And so really you're the general manager, CEO of the city. In terms of the powers of approving developments, approving procurement, contracts, that really is in the hands of the city council. So city council approves development, not the mayor. City council, if the mayor wants to spend money on something, it has to be approved by city council.
So if you're going to buy 2 new patrol cars and a motorcycle,
it has to go through city council.
All right, good.
Yeah, and so the only time the mayor gets involved in votes is if there's a tie on city council. So there's 4 city council members, so if there's a split, then the mayor votes. In the 4 years that I've been on council, that's happened twice. And so it just doesn't happen very often, especially if it's a very strong city council, and then they all kind of see this. They work together. They disagree on things, but typically, you rarely have a 2 no's and 2 yeses.
Do the members of our city council reside within the city limits?
It's a requirement, yeah.
I like it already.
Yeah. I think that is by state statute. You have to live in the city.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah.
Interest.
Exactly.
What's your term of office? 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
Wow, we covered so much so quick. This one always gets me. The fairgrounds are in Garden City.
Well, the fairgrounds are owned by Ada County, which is the county agency, and it's managed by the Ada County Commissioners, so it's county land, Ada County. And Garden City surrounds it.
Yeah, it's an island.
It's an island within the city, and the city really has no jurisdiction over that property. We don't have a say. That's up to the Ada County Commissioners. So that's kind of it on one hand. On the other hand, you work closely with the commissioners. We are affected by what they do, so there's strong communication between the Ada County Commissioners and the city, on issues like policing. They're building a new park.
The way I feel about the county commissioners, I wouldn't mind at all seeing the city, Garden City, annex that land.
Well, I think that's a strong potential. I think if they decide that they want to open up this 250 acres of prime real estate on the river, and if they open that up for development, Garden City would certainly look at the city can annex. It's in our area of impact, so we don't have to annex all of it. But for instance, they have a 50-acre park. We wouldn't want to annex that. But if they open up the rest for development, or businesses, or housing, and things like that, we would certainly consider that because they'll use our services.
How often does the city council meet?
Twice a month, every second and fourth Monday. So we'll have a meeting on Monday.
We have State Street, all of this widening, not widening, whatever. How is that affecting us? Well, as far as nasty traffic.
Well, traffic is a big issue. I hear it all the time on the campaign trail and as an elected official. But people have to realize in Garden City, 90% of the traffic isn't people who live in the city. So it's people who come from outside the city and drive through the city because we're right in the heart of the valley. We're surrounded by Boise. We're surrounded by Eagle.
State Street divides us. Yeah. Over here in Garden City, spit a watermelon seed into Boise.
Right, exactly. And State Street is a state highway, and so it's managed by ITD and ACHD jointly. Glenwood is ITD, Chinden is ITD, and all the streets in Ada County are managed by Ada County Highway District. So those agencies have jurisdiction over our roads, and Garden City really doesn't have any say on public roadways. So we have to work with those agencies when anything needs to get done. It's a little bit different I don't think there's a lot of models like it in the country where the cities don't control their own streets in the county. They're controlled by a district, a highway district.
We've got, what, 28, 29 police officers?
26.
Okay.
26 officers, ranging from, to officers, to corporals, to sergeants, to 2 lieutenants, and then we have a terrific chief, Chief Stambaugh. And so we have a very local police department in Alameda County. There's only 4 agencies, and so we're one of them. And it allows us to control our police department and how it's managed and who the chief is. And then it also gives us the opportunity to have a police department that's very ingrained in the community. They know what's going on. They do things locally to support, Shop with the Cop, or they do a Santa's thing. They're just really involved in the community. And so one thing I hear on the campaign trail is just how much people appreciate the Garden City Police.
Our cops, when you compare them to, and I'm saying this not you, the opinion I'm about to express is my own and not necessarily yours. Okay? Get that covered. When you compare us to that rambling gun show called the Boise PD, there is no comparison. Not just because we're small, but because Chief Stambaugh takes a very personal interest in the department and how his officers relate to the public.
I think we work closely with the Boise Police Department, same with Meridian and all the other agencies in Ada County.
But you don't work the same.
No, everyone's individual, and I think, Corey and Corey works with their chiefs. But being a smaller department, we really are focused on our culture, our training, how we interact with the public. We really spend a lot of time on those issues to make sure that we have a really community-based police department. We have 26 officers that can cover a small city, versus Boise PD has a huge footprint. So just by that nature, we just have a much more community-based, I think, police department.
An example I bring to mind, in the Marine Corps, I was 0321 MOS, that's Ranger. And Rangers work within MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command. It's a small part of the Marine Corps. And we have a far tighter organization, more of a, hey buddy, how you doing? And we get the job done more efficiently because we're small and largely isolated from the Marine Corps at large, which is isolated from the Navy at large.
Right. I think that's the benefit that Garden City has. We have the fastest response times in the valley. I think I did a police ride-along recently, and the officer knew exactly where the troubled spots were, which troubled house. I mean, he knew exactly where to look and where to patrol, and I think that's the benefit we have in Garden City is these officers know every street, they know every house.
And the response is amazing.
3-minute response time.
The fellow who lived next to me was very frail, and he had a coronary on his front porch. I'm an ER doc. Gee whiz. I grabbed my bag and I ran over there. And as I was stabilizing him and on the phone, it was less than 3. The first one there was Garden City cop, followed by a sheriff deputy, by a fire engine, of course, and by your Ada County paramedics, who are just a 2-minute jaunt up the road.
Police got there first, John.
Yeah, Garden City got there. It was Garden City, Ada County paramedic, sheriff's office, which came with the fire engine. Now we have the new Boise number 13 station over here, so
it'll be even better across the street from where you live.
Quicker. But the response time was impressive, and the way paramedics work, I'm working with this patient. The guy says, "Are you a doctor?" I said, "Yeah." "Give me that over there." They let me take over.
Oh wow.
I just do this. I put them on the side. They didn't ask questions. They did as they were told. And I don't remember the cop's name. One of our Garden City guys. Whenever I bump into y'all here or at Taco Bell, I have to fight. Cops don't get enough for what they do. Even in big city, little city, they're paid like school teachers.
Well, and I think the fact that we don't lose we don't have a high attrition rate to other agencies. And so I think that's telling that we have a great culture, we have a great chief. They like being part of a smaller, tighter unit. They're really involved in the community. And the fact that we don't have a lot of attrition, I think, is telling of just how well the department's run and
There's
the job that.
Esprit de corps within the department, too.
Yeah. And they're very well supported by city council and the mayor. And, I think they look to city leadership for support, and they certainly have it. We don't tie their hands. We let the police do the policing work. We're very much a conduct-based police force, so if you break the law, we're going to take care of you, whether it's a ticket or arrest. So we don't say ignore this or turn the other eye on offenses. It's you break the law, you're going to be cited or arrested.
Gee, what a unique approach. Break the law, pay the price.
That's the police approach.
We got an election coming up.
We do.
And a lot of older folks aren't aware of it even. It's November the 4th?
November the 4th, yes. Early voting starts next week. You can order an absentee ballot today if you'd like.
How does somebody order an absentee ballot?
So the best place to probably go to is voteidaho.org, and you can order an absentee ballot, and they'll send you one, and then you fill that out, of course, and mail it back in. Early voting, they can go on to voteidaho.org or Ada County Elections, and there's kind of mobile voting units that will go to different sites and just find out where that's going to be, and you can vote early. And
can you vote early at the library?
They'll be at the library. That's one of their locations, and then we'll also, of course, you can vote wherever your precinct is on election day.
And you really need to get out and vote, folks, because the biggest enemy we have is our complacence.
Well, you don't want apathy, right? So people may complain about their politicians or their what's going on in their cities, but then you ask them if they vote or if they participate in the process, and usually it's no. We really encourage participation on our city council meetings, public hearings, and oftentimes we have meetings where there's no one's really there, right? And I think that's not uncommon at city levels. And we get it. People have busy lives, but I think if you really want to know what's going on in your town, follow your local politics.
The following is my opinion again, and not that of Bill Jacobs. I'll talk to people on my show and say, "Did you vote?" They'll say no. Why not? There are 3 ways you don't vote. You cannot vote, you're incapable of voting, or you're in jail. I mean, you only excuse you have is if you don't want to do it. If you don't vote and you didn't vote and you could have voted, shut your trap. I don't want to hear you complaining about any politicians, because you are sitting here suckling from the teat of the good nature of my country, my city, my state, my county, and you won't take one of the 2 great responsibilities, which are voting and serving on a jury.
And voting is important. I think everybody should look at it as an important right. That is, it's probably one of the things that's really unique about the U.S. is that we really take that seriously, and it's easy to do, right? So you can again go to voteidaho.org, and if you're new to a city or new to the state and you're qualified, I guess, to vote, it's easy to register, and so there really isn't an excuse to say I don't want to vote, or I didn't vote, or I can't vote. You can vote. You can show up at the precinct, I believe, on election day and register to vote and vote on election day. So you just have to have a valid ID and a residence, and you can vote. So it's not hard.
So vote for the best or the least worst, but vote.
But vote. Yeah, we want turnout. It's important.
Give me a wrap up here.
Well, if I'm talking about the campaign, I think it's important to find a candidate who's experienced both the role of the mayor is to run the city day to day, better understand how business works, how the budget works, how the departments work, how our code works. And then I think that's really important. You want someone who's experienced with the city, knows the community, versus someone who either hasn't lived here very long or has never served the community. And so I think that's one reason why I'm running and why Mayor Evans has endorsed me, is because he understands I have that experience. And so I think it's really important, with looking at the future of the city, there's a sense of urgency, and we have a lot going on, and you better have someone who has that experience and really knows what's going on and can take over on day one. John retires on January 12th, and I'll be ready to take over on January 13th.
Well, I believe I've been talking to the next mayor, and
I hope so.
to make it official, on behalf of Max Media, that's me, I'm voting for and recommending you vote for Bill Jacobs as our new mayor.
Well, thank you very much, Max.